Hello and welcome. Thank you for being here with us, Sergio.
My pleasure, Arthur. Thank you for the invitation.
We were having a conversation before how how enthusiastic we get when we're discussing ELT related topics.
Yes, definitely. And
one of the main topics of interest is exam preparation, right?
Absolutely, it's definitely one of my. I would say that it's a topic that is very dear to me, and I also have been involved with it for quite some time, for the past 13 years. 13 years. Yes, the first student that I prepared for a proficiency exam was back in 2007, and it was for the first certificate in English, now known as the B2 First.
The B2 for the FCE, B2 First, right? Yeah,
exactly.
And it's interesting because you sound very enthusiastic when you're talking about exam preparation. You could see it in your voice when you were talking about that in the presentation. It was an excellent presentation. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yes, actually I am. I think that it's not something that I chose because of the money. I think it's great. I mean, financially speaking, it's great because it's a niche and it's something very specific. I don't think that there are many people doing that, especially when it comes to preparing students for higher level exams. But I would say that first and foremost, I chose to get involved with exam preparation because it is a passion. Of course, that it's time consuming when you have to plan your lessons and design your course and give students feedback. But I think that, loving what you do, it makes it worth it.
And where would you say this passion comes from?
That's a great question. I think that the reason is twofold. I would say that I enjoy, as crazy as it sounds, I enjoy taking exams myself. Maybe it's hard for me to put my finger on it, but I enjoy the process of studying and preparing and planning and developing strategies. I think it's very exciting. The whole process is very exciting. I would say that it started back in 2000 and let me see if I can remember, because it was the first proficiency exam I took was the B1 preliminary, and it was a long time ago. So I took the B1 preliminary, and then I fell in love with proficiency exams. But back then I wasn't a teacher. I was a student, of course.
You were a student.
But I did love the whole preparation process and going to the place where the exam was held and the whole exam atmosphere, if you like. So, and then I went on to take the B2 First and the C1 Advanced, and then finally the C2 Proficiency. And then many years later, I took I think that was my last one, the Delta Module 1 exam, which was by far like the hardest exam I've ever taken. But the second reason is that I love teaching people, especially when I'm teaching a group of people or teachers who are preparing for an exam and they share the same goal. It's fascinating because then you have this very cohesive group that is working towards the same goal. So they tend to be very motivated, intrinsically motivated, because they know that they're studying for a very specific purpose, which is to prepare and succeed in the exam. Which is something that, of course, that you might argue that when students are studying for having general English classes, they also have the same goal, right? Because at the end of the day, what they want is to become better able to use the language and speak English. But I would say that if you were to ask even a small group of students, like 4 or 5, why they are studying English, even though the ultimate goal is to be able to use the language, but it would be in different contexts and different situations. So you see, it's not exactly the same.
That's interesting. One of the things you mentioned in your presentation is how you track students' progress throughout the course, right? Because you have the table and you track students, like their performance in each one of the tasks. You have this measurable objective results, and it's like this is a motivation factor somehow.
I think it is, and I think that to be honest, I started tracking their progress to make it my life easier, in the sense that if you have an exam that is preparing for if you have a student that's preparing for a specific exam, as the course progresses, it can be very difficult for you to tell a student, you should wait a little longer because now it's not the time for you to face the exam, for you to take it. But then at the same time, if you just say it out of the blue, without anything to support what you're saying, it can be very difficult for the student to digest, if you like. Yeah. So I think that when you have something that provides you with more concrete evidence
Yeah.
It's easier for you and it's easier for the student to see how, how they are progressing and if they should take the exam or not. But also I think that it works as a motivational factor in the sense that they can see that they're making progress. But even if they're not making progress in all areas, I think it helps them to see the areas that they need to work on. So I think that it becomes crystal clear what their strengths are, but also what their weaknesses are and what we can do in order to improve, the areas in need of improvement.
What would you say are the take-home points of your presentation?
At first I was a little bit afraid because I thought that my presentation was over ambitious in the sense that I tried to cover too much. But then I thought, okay, the idea is not to go really deep into what teachers need to do in order to get started with exam preparation classes. The idea was to show them, like to give them an overview and to show them, okay, then if you are really willing to get into exams teaching, then these are the things that you should consider. And these are the points that you should, you should take away with you and start working on them. Mm-hmm. So I have come up with 6 points. The first one of them was to things that you should take into consideration in order to become successful exam preparation teachers. Second one was the importance of understanding the exam you're teaching. And I chose this point based on my experience because some teachers come to me and they ask for tips. Okay, I'm going to start teaching, let's say, X or Y exam. So how do you think I should go about it? Mm-hmm. And then when I ask them, have you taken the exam yourself? Oh, no, I haven't. So I think this is the starting point here is if you haven't taken the exam yourself, is to sit down, take a couple of mock tests, walk your way through the exam so that you can gain a better understanding of how it works. The third one was designing a course, however short it is. It could be a 1-month course, it could be a 6-month course, or it could even be a one-year course. For instance, what you're going to teach, how you're going to teach, the sequencing. So because you need to make sure that the students are going to study things and see things in a way that's going to help them make progress, right? So the next thing needs to build on the first one. The sequence you choose should be as helpful and as coherent as possible to help your students make progress and develop. Then the fourth point was about striking a balance. It can be a very tricky one, can't it? Because you always have to consider how much emphasis you're going to place on exam strategies and on skills development and language development. And I think that another thing you have to deal with is the students' expectations. Because when some of them will come to you and they believe that they have the right level of language, the level of language required by the exam to take it. So it's just a question of developing exam strategies. But when you give them, when you apply a mock exam, you see that the problem is not only related to exam strategies, but they lack the language in order to pass, or even the skills. Then it's a choice you have to make. And then the fifth,
one of the aspects also was homework, right?
Exactly. Yes, it was point number 5, homework. And here I tried to draw attention to the fact that it's not just assigning homework for the. We should never do that, right? But it's not just assigning homework for the sake of assigning homework. There should be a purpose, of course. But I think that this purpose the reason for that become even more evident when you're helping students to prepare for exams, because the homework you're going to assign should help them consolidate and develop what you started in the classroom. We have to raise their awareness to the point that yes, it's of paramount importance to keep on working, but how you can do that. And sometimes you must be prepared to assign homework on an individual basis, even if you have a group of students. And the last one was monitoring, which, as you have mentioned before, right? It's I think it's crucial to make it as visual as possible, so they can see their progress. And I would also say that even though some of them come to you with the expectation that they want you to help them pass the exam, I think that as teachers, we should try to to make the most of the opportunity to get them to learn something and to not just have the impression that they took an exam prep course and they learned these strategies, but they have also learned something that can be useful in their lives, right?
Yeah.
When they're speaking, when they are reading, when they're writing.
Because this is what the exam also does, right? The exam is very good at identifying real aspects of what the students have to deal in that context, what they are applying for, and assessing their performance on that situation.
Yes. So yeah, I think we should try and in a way try to do the same, to provide them with this experience in the classroom.
I'd like to thank you again, Sergio, for being here, for presenting yesterday.
My pleasure, Thor. Yeah. And once again, thank you very much for the invitation. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always good to have you here. I hope we have more opportunities like this. And if anyone's interested to watch the full presentation, it's available on the BRAZ-TESOL YouTube channel as day one of the São Paulo chapter event.
Yes, it's available on YouTube. So yeah, you can catch it later if you've missed it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sergio.
You're welcome. Thank you.